my dear learners, for this course on design of machine elements 2. In this module 2, we were discussing about design of springs. In our previous lecture, I have discussed and derived expression for shear stress in an helical compressive spring with circular cross-sectioned wire, and also expression for deflection in an helical compressive spring with circular cross-sectioned wire. Now, before heading to solve numerical problems on design of springs, let us first discuss the procedure that we are going to employ for completely designing the compressive springs. Coming for procedure that we have to employ for completely designing of compressive springs with circular cross-sectioned wire. First very important thing is that we should know the material of the spring. If material of the spring is not specified, then from table 11.5 of page number 191 of our design data handbook, assume chromium, vanadium, alloy steel as spring material. So therefore, from column 9, adopt yield stress in shear as 690 megapascals. So if the material of the spring is not specified, then always assume chromium, vanadium, alloy steel as the spring material, and referring to table 11.5 of page number 191 and from column 9, you can see that for chromium, vanadium, alloy steel, the shear yield stress will be 690 megapascals. And also assume factor of safety as 2, always if not specified. So therefore, you take allowable stress as W by factor of safety. So therefore, it will turn out to be 345 megapascals. So adopt this as stress, allowable shear stress. Now, once we have assumed chromium, vanadium, alloy steel as a spring material, now referring to table 1.1 of page number 11 of our design data handbook, for carbon steels, you adopt the modulus of rigidity G, which is specified as G into 10 to the power of minus 3 is equal to 78.5 megapascals. So therefore, if I solve, I will get G as 78.5 gigapascals. So reading the values in table 1.1 for modulus of rigidity is made complicated. I don't know why. So it is given as G into 10 to the power of minus 3 megapascals. So therefore, G into 10 to the power of minus 3 is equal to 78.5 megapascals for carbon steel. So if I resolve, I will get modulus of rigidity as 78.5 gigapascals. So once you know allowable shear stress and modulus of rigidity, and also you adopt density from the same table. So for carbon steel, so we have density given as 7820 kg per meter cube. Correct. So these things is what you should assume if not specified in the problem to begin the solution for the given problem in design of springs. So next, once you adopt these values, our first step is to find out the value as the diameter of the wire. So if we call it as A, and let me take this as steps. So now with this prerequisite, the first step is to find diameter of the wire. So I am discussing the procedure for completely design of helical spring in compression with circular cross-sectioned wire. So to find the diameter of the wire, use the expression what we have derived in our previous lecture, that is tau allowable is equal to 8f ck by pi d square. So this is equation number 11.1d of our design data handbook, where k is Wahl's correction factor. So k is given by 4c minus 1 divided by 4c minus 4 plus 0.615 by c. So this is equation number 11.2a. If c is not specified, then assume c is equal to 8 if not given. If we have specified the value of diameter of the wire itself, then calculate the value of c using this equation. If we specified the value of c, then calculate the diameter of the wire using this equation. If both c and d are unknown, then assume c as 8 and solve the problem. So this completes the first step. We'll calculate the value of d. So once you obtain the wire diameter d, standardize the diameter. Standardize the wire diameter from table 11.2 referring to page 188 of our design data handbook. So adopt the standard wire sets available. So this completes step 1. Next, moving for step 2. Step 2 is to find the mean diameter of the spring. To find diameters of the spring, so we have calculated and adopted the value of diameter of the wire. So since we know the value of c, that is spring index, I can find the mean diameter capital D as c into small d, and outer diameter d naught is equal to d plus small d, and inner diameter di is equal to d minus small d. So these things I clearly explained in our previous lecture when I derived the shear stress equation. So this completes step 2. Moving ahead for step 3. Step 3 is to find number of active coils. So here you people should make a very important note. I stands for number of active coils. N stands for additional number of coils. Based on end condition. And I dash stands for total number of coils, which is given by I plus N, which is nothing but total number of coils. That is active plus additional number of coils. Now to find the number of active coils, I, not I dash, to find I, use deflection equation which we have derived in our previous lecture, that is use deflection equation y is equal to 8f c cube I divided by gd. So this is equation 11.5a. So find the value of I, number of active coils. Next, fourth step is to find total number of coils. Always assume from table 11.4 referring to page number 189 of our design data handbook written by K. Mahadevan and Balveer Reddy. We are referring 4th edition. From table 11.4 of page number 189, always you assume square and ground end condition. So always from table 11.4 referring to page number 189 of our design data handbook, assume square and ground end condition if end condition is not specified. For square and end ground end condition, we have n, that is additional number of coils is 2. So therefore you always get I dash is equal to I plus n. So find the value of I dash. So this completes step number 4. Next, moving for step number 5. Step number 5 is to find the free length. We have already assumed square and ground end condition. So referring to table 11.4. So from table 11.4 of page number 181, 189, we have free length L0 should be greater than or equal to I plus N plus Y plus A, where A is the clearance, Y is the maximum deflection, I plus N is the total number of coils, where I is number of active coils, N is additional number of coils, I plus N is total number of coils. So you know the value of I plus N. We have calculated in step number 4. Deflection is calculated, or deflection is a known data for us, maximum deflection, whereas A is clearance, always taken as always it is equal to 20% of Y max. So always we take clearance as 0.2 into maximum deflection. So kindly make a note of it, which is not available in your design data handbook. Always clearance should be taken as 20% of maximum deflection. Next, moving ahead for after calculating the free length, step number 6 is to calculate solid length. So this is also calculated from same table. We have already assumed square and ground end condition, for which solid length is given by total number of coils into wire diameter. Next, step number 7, you calculate pitch from the same table referring to page number 189. For square and ground end condition, we have pitch given as N0 minus 2D whole divided by I. So active number of coils, I stands for active number of coils, I dash stands for total number of coils. Next, moving for step 8, you find spring stiffness. Spring stiffness is already known to us. F0 is equal to F max by Y max. Next, in step number 9, you calculate total length of wire this I have explained in our previous lecture. Total length of wire is given as pi capital D into I dash, where I dash stands for total number of coils, that is including additional number of coils. For square and ground end condition assumption, the additional coils is 2. And finally in step 10, we calculate the natural frequency of vibration, that is calculate the natural frequency F is equal to 1 by T. So these equations are available in 11.22 of our design data handbook. So this again depends on end condition given. So depending on the end condition given, I can calculate the natural frequency of the spring. In that equation, we have to calculate the weight W. So in this equation, we need to calculate weight W. So if you refer equation 11.22, you will understand. In that equation, W is the unknown, that is load or weight. We can take volume times weight density. W in Newton per millimeter cube. So where volume is given by pi di. So make a note, while calculating volume, you should use pi di. It is not I dash, because only active coils will vibrate, not the end coils. So therefore it is pi di, not pi di I dash. Kindly make a note. Pi di is length into area. Area is pi small d square by 4. Pi small d square by 4 will gives us the volume. Coming for density, we already noted down from table 1.1 referring to page number 11, which is 9820 kg per meter cube. Convert this into Newton per millimeter cube and substitute that equation, you will get the value of weight. By knowing the weight, you can calculate the natural frequency referring to equations 11.22. So if you refer the data handbook, you will understand what I am explaining. So these are the 10 steps which we should employ for complete design of helical compressive spring with circular cross sectional wire. And very important note should make is that always design for maximum load and maximum deflection. Always design for maximum load and maximum deflection. So you should always design for maximum load and maximum deflection. So you should first step, before moving on for the table, you should know the value of maximum load that the spring is subjected to and the maximum deflection. So if you know maximum load and maximum deflection, then only you can start the design of the spring. And these are the prerequisites. That is, you should know the spring material, its allowable shear stress and modulus of rigidity, and also weight density. So by knowing these things, I can design the spring completely. Let me pause this video for a while so that people can copy down the procedure. Later we will start solving our problems. Now moving ahead, the problem number 1 of our discussion states that Design a helical compression spring to support an axial load of 3 kilonewtons. The deflection under load is limited to 60 mm. The spring index is 6. The spring is made of chromium vanadium steel. Take factor of safety as 2. Let us list out the data given for problem number 1. Solution of problem number 1. If we list out the data given, we have the load specified as 3 kilonewtons, that is 3000 newtons, and we have specified the deflection as 60 millimeters. Spring index is specified as 6, small, that is C is equal to 6. The spring is made up of chromium vanadium steel, he has mentioned, and he has also given the factor of safety as 2. So this is the data given for us. We should completely design this spring. We already know the procedure that we should employ for completely design of compressive helical spring with circular cross section, where let us design this spring completely. So since he has mentioned the material, load and deflection, I can solve this problem with no assumptions. Since material is specified, so therefore moving for table 11.5, from table 11.5 of page number 191 of our design data handbook for chromium vanadium steel referring to column 9, we have yield stress in shear as 690 megapascals. So since he has given the factor of safety as 2, so therefore tau allowable is equal to tau yield by factor of safety. So let me write it as FOS in order to avoid confusion, because we are using small n for additional number of coils. So tau yield is 690, factor of safety is 2. So if I solve, it will turn out to be 345 megapascals. Now once we obtain tau allowable, again from table 1.1 referring to page number 11 for carbon steels, we have modulus of rigidity into 10 to the power of minus 3 is equal to 78.5 megapascals. Therefore, the modulus of rigidity is 78.5 into 10 to the power of plus 3 megapascals. And also, the density for carbon steel is specified as 7820 kg per meter cube. So if I convert, I will get the density as rho is equal to 7820 into 9.81, that will gives us in newtons. Now I want millimeter cube, so the conversion will be 7820 into 9.81 divided by, I will multiply 10 to the power of minus plus 9. So this will become Newton per millimeter cube. So milli is 10 power minus 3, 10 power minus 3 cube is 10 power minus 9, 10 power plus 9 and 10 power minus 9 will get cancelled, and I will get the same thing. So therefore the density rho will be, so if I multiply these two, I will get 76714.2, that is 76714.2 into, if I take 10 power plus 9 to numerator, I will get it as 10 power minus 9 Newton per millimeter cube. So kindly make a note, this is very important to calculate natural frequency. If you don't want to calculate natural frequency, then density is not required and this conversion is also not required. So this is helpful only to find natural frequency of vibration of the spring. So now we have obtained a prerequisite. Now I can solve the problem. Coming for step 1, that is to find wire diameter. Now to find the wire diameter, we should use allowable shear stress equation. Tau allowable is equal to 8F CK by pi d square. It is equation 11.1d of our design data input. Now K is given by 4C minus 1 divided by 4C minus 4 plus 0.615 by C. This is equation 11.5a. So we know the value of C, which is 6. So therefore the value of K is 4 into 6 minus 1 divided by 4 into 6 minus 4 plus 0.615 by 6. So the value of K will be 6 4 is 24 minus 1 by 24 minus 6 plus 0.615 by 6, which is turning out to be 1.2525. So the Wahl's correction factor is 1.2525. So now if I substitute in the above equation, we already know tau allowable is 345. So if I substitute and solve, 345 is equal to 8 into maximum load is 3000 into C is 6 into Wahl's correction factor is 1.2525 divided by pi times d square. So if I solve, I'll get the value of diameter as 8 into 3000 into 6 into 1.2525 divided by 345 into pi. And square root of answer is 12.9. So this is the wire diameter we got from calculation, but the standard wire diameter available for us is, so from table 11.2, referring to page number 188 of our design data handbook, adopt the standard wire diameter as 13 millimeters. So therefore the standard wire size is 13 millimeters. Now moving for step 2, that is to find diameter of coil. So there the first one is mean diameter. Capital D is equal to C into small d. We know that C is 6 given. So mean diameter is 78 millimeters. Next, calculate outside diameter, that is D naught is equal to capital D plus small d, that is 78 plus 13 will be 91 millimeters. Next, calculate inside diameter of the coil. Inside diameter of the coil is given by capital D minus small d, that is 78 minus 13 is 65 millimeters. So this completes step number 2. Now moving for step number 3, that is to find active number of coils, that is I use deflection equation. So deflection equation is given by y is equal to 8f c cube I divided by GD. So this is equation 11.5a. So we know all the values, substitute and calculate active number of coils I, that is the maximum deflection is 60 millimeters. So if I solve, I will get 60 is equal to 8 times the maximum force is 3000, C is 6. I have to find active number of coils divided by G is known to us. So G is 78.5 into 10 to the power of plus 3 megapascals into D is 13. So if I solve, I will get active number of coils as 60 into 78.5 into 10 to the power of 3 into 30 divided by 8 into 3000 into 6 cube, which yields us the number of active coils as 11.8, which is nearly equal to 12 coils. Next, going for step number 4. Step number 4 is to find total number of coils. So since he has not specified any end condition, assume square and ground end condition referring to table 11.4. From table 11.4 referring to page 189, assume square and ground end condition. So assuming square and ground end condition, I have additional number of coils as small n is 2. So therefore total number of coils or turns will be I dash, which is equal to I plus n, which is turning out to be 14 coils or 14 turns. Next, moving for step 5, that is to find free length. Again from same table 11.4 page number 189, we have already assumed square and ground end condition. So therefore free length L0 should be greater than or equal to I dash into D plus Y plus A, where A is clearance. Now we know the value of I dash as 14. D is known, which is equal to 13 millimeters. Maximum deflection is given as 60 mm, where A is clearance. So we already know that clearance A is 20% of maximum deflection. So therefore 20% of 60 is 12 millimeters. That is 0.2 into 60 mm is turning out to be 12 millimeters. So therefore the free length L0 should be greater than or equal to I dash. Total number of coils or turns is 14. 14 into diameter of the wire is 13 mm plus Y max is 60 plus clearance is 12. So therefore L0 should be greater than or equal to 14 into 13 plus 60 plus 12, which is turning out to be 220 54 millimeters. So free length should be greater than or equal to 254 millimeters. Next, moving for step number 6, that is to find solid length. Referring to same table 11.4 of page number 189, we have already assumed square and ground end condition, for which solid length LS is given as I dash into D, so which is turning out to be 14 into 13. Therefore solid length is 182 millimeters. Let me pause this video for a while so that you people can copy it down. Later we will solve step number 7, 8, 9 and 10. Now moving for step number 7, that is to find pitch. Referring to same table that is table 11.4 of page number 189, we have already assumed square and round end condition. So for which we have formula for pitch P as L0 minus 2D whole divided by I. So we have L0 as 254 millimeters minus 2 times D is 13 divided by active number of coils is 12. So therefore pitch for the problem is 254 minus 26 divided by 12 is 19 millimeters. Next, moving for step 8, that is to find spring stiffness. So we have spring stiffness which is denoted by F0 is equal to F max by Y max. F max is 3000, maximum deflection is 60, so which is turning out to be 3000 by 60, which is equal to 50 Newton per millimeter. So therefore spring stiffness is 50 into 10 to the power of 3 Newton per meter. Moving for step number 9, that is total length of wire. We have total length of wire L is equal to pi d I dash. So that is pi times the diameter of the coil. Mean diameter of the coil is 78, I dash is 14. So therefore total length of wire is pi times 78 into 14, which is turning out to be 3430.62 millimeters. So moving for the final step to find frequency. Whenever the end condition is not specified, to find the frequency, always assume fixed free end condition. So assuming fixed free end condition from equation 11.22 A, we have frequency F is equal to 1 by 2 pi square root of 2 into F0 into G divided by W. So now I should find the value of W. So where the weight W is equal to volume into weight density. So therefore W is equal to volume is pi d I. Very important. We should not consider additional number of coils while calculating the volume, because the additional coils will not vibrate. Volume, length into area. Area is pi d square by 4. This gives us volume into weight density. Weight density is already known to us. That is 76714.2 into 10 to the power of minus 9 Newton per millimeter cube. So therefore W will be pi times pi into pi is pi square into d square. D is 13. Pi square d square di. D is 78 into I is 12 divided by 4 into 76714.2 into 10 to the power of 9. So therefore weight W is equal to, so weight is 29.9418 newtons. So therefore if I substitute, I'll get the natural frequency of vibration as F is equal to 1 by 2 pi square root of 2 into, always remember F naught should be in Newton per meter because G is in meter per second square. So F naught is 50 into 10 to the power of 3. G is 9.81 meter per second square. W is 29.9418. So therefore natural frequency of vibration is 1 by 2 pi into square root of 2 into 50 into 10 to the power of 3 into 9.81 divided by 29.9418. The answer is 28.808 Hertz. So this is the solution for problem number 1. So these are the 10 steps to be followed for complete design of helical compressive spring with circular cross section wire. Let me pause this video for a while so that people can copy it down. Later I will address problem number 2 and 3. Next, moving for problem number 2. Problem number 2 states that a helical valve spring is to be designed for an operating load range of approximately 90 to 135 newtons. Deflection of the spring for the load range is 7.5 millimeters. Assume spring index of 10 and factor of safety as 2. Design the spring completely. Now, moving for data given for problem number 2. We have a load range of F minimum is 90 newtons, F maximum is 135 newtons. For this load range, we have a deflection of, for delta F is equal to 135 minus 90, 45 newtons. We have a deflection as 7.5 millimeters. Assume spring index as 10, factor of safety as 2. Design the spring completely. So this is what he says. Now the procedure remains same. Let me give the prerequisites. to solve the problem. So coming for the prerequisites, we should always solve for maximum load and maximum deflection. Here he has given the load range, and for that load range he has given the deflection. So therefore first you should find out the maximum deflection. Anyhow we know the maximum load. We have F max as 135 newtons. F max is 135 newtons. Now we have load and we have deflection. Now for a load range of 45 newtons, we have a deflection of 7.5 millimeters. Now for a maximum load of 135 newtons, what is the value of Y max is the question. Hope you understood. For the load of 45 newton, for this range 45 newton, we have 7.5 mm of deflection. For a maximum load of 135 newton, I don't know what is the maximum deflection. So therefore, if I cross multiply and find, I will get Y max as Y max is equal to 7.5 into 135 whole divided by 45. So therefore, I will get Y max as 7.5 into 135 divided by 45, which is turning out to be 22.5 millimeters. So therefore, I should design the spring for F max as 135 Newton and Y max as 22.5 Newton. Design the spring for F max and Y max. Now follow the same step what I explained for problem number 1. You get the solution. So follow that step. For your convenience, I will give the answer for this problem. So since the material is not given, assume chromium, vanadium, alloy steel, take yield stress as 690 megapascal, factor of safety is given as 2, so therefore you will get 345 megapascal. Same thing you will get, you also will get the same thing. So repeating the same, you will get the answers as. So kindly solve this problem similar to problem number 1. You will get small d as 3.4 mm, capital D as 34 mm. This 3.4 is standard diameter which is obtained from the table after standardizing it, and active number of coils is 6. Free length will be 55.3. So kindly make a note. I done a mistake in calculating for problem number 1. Always the clearance you take always clearance A, you take it as 25% of Y max. So I taken it and solved as 20%. Kindly correct it. You should take it as 25%. Kindly make a note. Kindly make a note that always the clearance that we consider while calculating the free length should be taken as 25% of maximum deflection. It is not 20%. It is 25% of maximum deflection. I done a mistake here. So if you take 25%, you will get a minor change. That is, you will get the answer as 257 instead of 254. So rest of the answers remain same. No change. Only thing is that, so this will change. Will not. The clearance should be 25% of Y max. Kindly make a note and correct it. I apologize for that. So next, moving ahead. So if we solve, we will get the solid length as 27.2. And pitch for the problem, we will get it as 8.09. So we have assumed the same end condition, that is square and ground end condition. If it is not mentioned in the problem, always you assume square and ground end condition. And the spring stiffness F naught will be 6 Newton per millimeters, and you will get total length of wire as 854.5 millimeters and the frequency of vibration as 81.73 hertz. So this will be the solution for problem number 2. Kindly solve the problem. Repeat the same procedure what we have employed for problem number 1. Only change is that before starting the problem you should identify maximum load and maximum deflection. Now moving for problem number 3. So if we move for problem number 3, we have a spring loaded safety valve for a boiler is required to blow off at a pressure of 1.3 megapascals. The diameter of the valve is 65 mm and maximum lift of the valve is 17.5 millimeters. Design a suitable compressive spring for the valve, assuming spring index to be 6 and providing initial compression of 30 mm. Take tau allowable is equal to 0.45 GPa and modulus of rigidity as 84 gigapascals. So he himself has specified tau allowable and modulus of rigidity. So now moving for problem number 3. If I list out the data given, we have so it should operate for a pressure of 135 megapascals. Sorry, 1.3 megapascals. The diameter of the valve is given. Let us take it as B dash, 65 millimeters. Maximum lift of the valve is 17.5 mm. Let us take it as Y dash as 17.5 mm. Design a suitable compressive spring for the valve, assuming spring index to be 6. So C is equal to 6. And providing initial compression of 30 mm. So spring is already compressed initially. Y initial is 30 millimeters is given, tau allowable and modulus of rigidity. Now to solve this problem, if you clearly observe, it is operating against a pressure of 1.3 megapascals, but it is initially compressed to 30 mm and the maximum lift is given as 17.5 mm. So therefore, the total maximum deflection will be initial compression plus the maximum lift. Hope you understood. The spring is initially compressed to 30 mm and further it can be compressed for 17.5 mm under the pressure of 1.3 megapascal. That is what he is stating. So therefore, total maximum deflection will be total maximum deflection will be initial compression plus lift. So therefore, the maximum deflection for this problem is 30 mm initial compression plus a lift of 17.5, which yields us the answer as 47.5 mm is the maximum deflection. Very, very important. Now, if you clearly observe, we have the valve will blow off at a pressure of 1.3 megapascal and it can have a maximum lift of 17.5 mm. So there is a bit confusion here. Let me make it clear. So if I consider a boiler blow off, let me consider the surface of a boiler like this, and we have a valve on which we have a compressive spring. let us say we have an arrangement of a boiler like this. We have a blow off valve present here. So he is already stating that this spring is compressed by 30 mm and it can have a lift of 17.5 mm. So it will start blowing, it will start opening the valve when the pressure is at 1.3 MPa. When P is equal to 1.3 MPa, it start blowing. It can blow off or it can open the valve only to a value of 17.5 mm. So that is at what value of pressure? So it can accompany position like this. So we have a lift of 17.5. Let us take it as 17.5. So what is the value of force? So that will gives us F max. Already it has been compressed to 30 mm. When the pressure reaches 1.3 megapascal, it will start further compressing. In the sense, it will start blowing the valve open. So it can compress to a maximum value of 47.5, in which 30 is already compressed. So when it reaches 1.3 megapascal, it starts opening. It can open up to a value of 17.5. So all put together, it can operate between a range of 47.5 mm. So therefore, this is the minimum load required to begin opening of the valve. So therefore, I can take this 1.3 megapascal to find out the force required to produce 30 mm initial compression. Required to produce 30 mm initial compression. So any pressure exceeding 1.3 megapascal will start opening the valve. In the sense, the total compression will be starting from 31 onwards and will reach the maximum value of 47.5. So this is for the initial compression of 30 mm. So this is for y dash of 30 mm. Now what is this F max for y max of 47.5 mm is the question to be answered. Now first let us find out what is the force for initial compression. So therefore F dash is equal to pressure into area pressure is 1.3 10 to the power of 6 megapascals into area is pi d square by 4, d is 0.065 square by 4. So therefore the load required for the compression of 30 mm will be 4313.8 newtons. Now we have load and we have deflection. So for a load of 4313.8, we have a deflection of 30 millimeters. For what load we will get the maximum deflection of 47.5 mm. So therefore, if I do cross multiplication and find, I will get F max as 4313.8 into 47.5 divided by 30. So therefore, you will get F max as 6830 newtons. So designed for maximum deflection of 47.5 mm with a maximum load of 6830 newtons. So let me explain this concept once again and make it clear, because this is somewhat confusing. Initially we have compressed the spring for 30 mm and mounted on the surface of the boiler above the blow-off valve. Now once the pressure reaches 1.3 megapascal, the valve starts opening. In the sense, it will withstand a pressure of less than 1.3 megapascal. When the pressure reaches 1.3 megapascal, it starts lifting. So which can be understood as 1.3 megapascal will cause a compression of 30 mm. So therefore, find the force required to produce that initial compression. I have found it out as 4313.8 newtons. Now, once the pressure rises above 1.3 megapascal, it starts opening. It can open only up to 17.5 mm. So all put together, the total lift will be 47.5 mm. Now for 30 mm lift, the force is 4313.8 Newton. For 47.5 mm deflection, what is the load? So do cross multiplication, you find the maximum load. So designed for maximum deflection of 47.5 mm for a maximum load of 6830 newtons. So follow the same procedure what I employed to solve problem number 1, and you will get the answer for this problem as the standard diameter of the wire is 18 mm, mean diameter of the coil is 108, number of active coils is 7, and L0 should be greater than or equal to 221.4 mm. You will get a pitch as 26.5. The solid length will be 162 millimeters, and spring stiffness F0 is 144 Newton per millimeters, and the overall length pi di is 3053.6. I have not calculated the frequency for problem number 3 because we don't know the material to take the value of density. So density is not specified, so therefore I am not calculating step number 10, that is frequency for problem number 3. So kindly make a note that always the clearance in the equation of free length should be taken as 25% of maximum deflection. It is not 20% of maximum deflection. Kindly correct it. So this completes the solution for first set of problems on helical spring under compression with circular cross sectioned wire. In our next lecture, I will take up problems set 2 on same helical compressive spring with circular cross sectioned wire. That's all from this lecture. Thank you all.